There is a moment every leader hits when the list of things that need to change feels so long, so tangled, that doing nothing feels more rational than doing something wrong. You know the inefficiencies are there. You can see them. Your team sees them. Your customers feel them. But when someone asks, where do we start? The honest answer is, you don't know. And that uncertainty is expensive, not just in time and money, in credibility, in moral, in the quiet frustration of a team that keeps raising the same problems and watching nothing move. Today, I'm going to give you a system that answers that question, not with a feeling, not with a guess, but with data you have already accessed that you've probably never organized. It's called the Change Intelligence Tracker. Once you build it, you'll never walk into a boardroom, a strategic planning session, or a difficult leadership discussion without knowing exactly where to focus first. Hi, I'm Summer, founder of Driven Connection. We help businesses eliminate inefficiencies that impact profitability, expansion, and people. If you've been following along with the series, you know that most episodes give a tool, a framework, a method, something you can apply this week. Today's tool is for the leader sitting on a backlog of inefficiencies who doesn't know which one to tackle first. The one who's been told to prioritize without being given a system for doing it. The one that wants to make data-backed decisions, but isn't sure what data to collect or how to read it. This is that system. Here's what I see most often when I walk into an organization for the first time. There's no shortage of awareness. People know what's broken. The finance team knows the reconciliation process is eating 15 hours a week. The operations team knows the onboarding process is patched together with tribal knowledge. The founder knows the approval chain is 3 layers too long. The problem isn't always identification. The problem is often translation. How do you take a room full of frustrations and turn them into a prioritized, executable list? How do you decide whether the onboarding problem is more urgent than the approval bottleneck? How do you make that call in a way that the whole team can see and trust? Most organizations don't have an answer to that, so they default to whoever is loudest in the room, or whatever the last client complaint was, or whatever the leader felt strongly about that quarter. That's improvisation dressed up as decision-making. The Stoics had a useful frame for this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The friction isn't the enemy of your progress. Unorganized friction is. When you name it, rank it, and track it, it becomes your roadmap. I want to tell you about a situation I walked into a number of years ago that changed how I think about resistance. I was brought in to work with a team at a FinTech company specifically to train a group of employees as part of a larger change initiative. The company was modernizing, new systems, new tools, new ways of working, and leadership had been clear with me. The goal was to elevate the team, not reduce it. But when I sat down with people one-on-one, I felt it immediately, the crossed arms, the clipped answers, the energy of someone who had already decided I and all of this was a threat. I didn't push back. I got curious. I asked what they were most concerned about, and what came out slowly and then all at once was a fear that had absolutely nothing to do with the training or methodology. They were afraid that if the process became standardized, if the knowledge was documented and transferable, their seat at the table would shrink. Their value, in their mind, was tied to being the one who knew how to do the thing. That's a very human response to change, and it's exactly the kind of signal a change intelligence tracker is designed to catch. Because change is also about stronger communication from doing the work. When people are frustrated, they don't always name the real problem. What comes out of their mouth is often the surface. What's underneath is the actual lever. If you don't have a system for collecting, learning, and rating what you're hearing, you'll spend a lot of time solving the symptom, but never touching the root. In that FinTech engagement, we eventually got there, but it took longer than it needed because nobody had a structured place to put all the insights that were surfacing. It was living in meeting notes that most people never read again. That doesn't happen with the tracker. The Change Intelligence Tracker is a living document, a single source of truth. For every inefficiency your business has identified, is investigating, or is ready to act on. Think of it as your company's immune system log. Every time something isn't working, that signal goes in. Every time someone raises a concern, that goes in. Every time a client complains about a process failure, that goes in. You're not doing this to build a list of problems. You're doing this to build a prioritized map of where your energy will have the highest return. This tracker becomes one of the most valuable inputs you'll use in any strategic conversation. When you sit down with your board, your investors, your leadership team for a quarterly review, you're not guessing where the friction is. You know where it is. You have the data. You know the patterns. You have a ranked list built with real signals that tells you exactly what to do next. Why won't be a question that you fear. In episode 1, How to Turn Task List into Tangible Metrics and Results, I introduced to you the impact-driven prioritization. The same principle applies here. Whether it's your personal task list or your enterprise change log, the method is the same. Name it, score it, and focus where the return is the highest. The Change Intelligence Tracker is impact-driven prioritization applied to your entire organization. Before I walk you through how to build this, I want to give you the data that makes the case. Prosci, the global leader in change management research, found that organizations with excellent change management practices see an 88% success rate in meeting project objectives. Organizations with poor change management practices, 13. That's not a small gap. That is the difference between a business that executes and one that keeps restarting. McKinsey data shows that organizations with effective change management achieve an average ROI of 143% versus 35% for those without it. For a $5 million company, even a 15% improvement in productivity during a major transition could protect $200,000 to $400,000 in revenue that would otherwise disappear during an implementation dip. And here's what I find most striking. Those benefits are often visible within 30 to 60 days, full ROI realization in 6 to 18 months. The Prosci data also shows that visible leadership support is the #1 predictor of success. The fact that leadership is publicly visible and behind the change. If you build the tracker and then ignore it, it becomes overhead. If you use it in every leadership conversation, it becomes part of the culture. Here's how to build it in 3 simple steps. Step 1, identify. Create one place where every inefficiency, every concern, every friction point can be submitted. Google Forms, ClickUp Forms, logging on a spreadsheet, it all works. The method matters less than the commitment. Everything goes in one place, and everyone knows where to find that place at phase 1 of your change transformation. For external signals like customer feedback, support tickets, and survey responses, those belong here too. Your clients are telling you what's broken every time they contact support. The question is whether you're collecting it in a way where that signal can actually come through. Don't make it complicated. The goal at this stage is volume and honesty. You want everything on the table, including the things that are uncomfortable to name. Step 2, learn. Once something is on the tracker, your job is to learn more about it before you rate it. Because, and I can't say this enough, what people say when they're frustrated is rarely the complete picture. Learning might look like a structured conversation with a subject matter expert closest to the problem. It might look like data you pull from a CRM, your support system, or a project management tool. It might look like a vendor conversation or a structured interview with team members who touch that process every day. The format depends on the problem, but the discipline is the same. Don't rate what you don't understand. The FinTech consultants I told you about earlier, on the surface, the concern like resistance to training. Underneath, it was the fear of irrelevance. Those require completely different responses. You only find the real problem if you slow down enough to ask the questions. This step is also where you separate signals from noise. When things feel urgent because they're loud, the tracker gives you a place to hold them without reacting prematurely. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Step 3, rate. Once you understand the problem, you score it. Same scale as we've used across the series, 1 to 5. 5 is the high impact. This is a significant friction point with measurable consequences for revenue, retention, team capacity, or client experience. Fixing it moves the business. One is low impact, real, but not urgent. Worth knowing about, not worth prioritizing right now. Every item in your tracker gets a score, and here is where the magic happens. When you look across all the items together, patterns emerge. You see that 3 different teams are describing the same root problem in 3 different ways. You see that your highest rated items cluster around one system. That cluster becomes your quarter's next focus, not because someone just decided it in a meeting, because the data said so. I want to be direct about what this tracker does and what it doesn't do. It doesn't fix anything on its own. It doesn't eliminate hard conversations. It doesn't replace the work of actually implementing change. What it does is remove the question of where to start. And that question, where do we even begin, is one of the most paralyzing forces in a growing organization. It is the reason smart, committed teams stay stuck, not because they lack capability, because they lack a map. When you have a tracker running, when it's populated, rated, and reviewed regularly, something shifts in how your leadership team operates. Decisions get faster because the context is shared. Frustration drops because people can see that their input actually went somewhere. And the founder or the executive team, they stop feeling like they have to hold all that information in their heads. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The tracker is how you dare. It gives you the ground to stand on when you make the call. This is what I want you to do before the next episode. Step 1, pick one input method. Google Form, ClickUp Form, shared spreadsheet. Set it up and send it to your team today with one instruction. Submit every inefficiency you've been sitting on that you haven't had a place to put. Step 2, don't rate anything yet, just collect. Give it a week. Let the signals come in without filtering. Step 3, identify the top 3 items by volume, the ones that come up the most often, and schedule one conversation to learn more about each before you rate them. And that's it. 3 steps, 1 week, and you'll have the beginning of a change intelligence tracker that will serve your business for as long as you run it. Tell us more in the comments. What's the one inefficiency your team has been naming over and over that you haven't had a structure for yet? We want to hear it because these conversations are exactly where it starts. You're not dealing with chaos because your business is broken. You're dealing with it because you've grown past the informal systems that used to hold everything together. You're learning, you're growing, and you're building something that lasts. Don't let the noise of the daily friction talk you out of the asset you're building. I'm Summer Ames Prodan, and we'll see you on the next installment of Driven Growth.